What if the secret to a nation's creativity isn't about some free-spirited culture, but something way more structured? Today, we're going to dig into a really surprising connection that challenges pretty much everything we think we know about innovation. You know, we always hear it's about thinking outside the box, having a rebellious spirit, or breaking all the rules. But what if the data tells a totally different story? What if one of the best predictors of national innovation is something a lot more fundamental? Okay, let's dive into this. So, to kick things off, we're looking at two major global rankings. The first one measures innovation, which makes sense. The second one, though, measures something you might not expect at all: high school math skills. First up is the Global Innovation Index, or the GII. This is basically the gold standard for figuring out how innovative a country is. It looks at the whole shebang, from tech and infrastructure all the way to the education system. The other piece of the puzzle comes from PISA. That's the huge international test that measures the math skills of 15-year-olds around the globe. So what happens when you put these two things together on a chart? A country's innovation rank and its students' math scores? Well, a remarkably clear picture starts to form. What you get is a statistical correlation of 0.83. Now, if you're not a stats person, just know this: that number is incredibly high. It shows a really strong positive connection. To put it simply, countries where kids are better at math also tend to be the most innovative. It's a powerful pattern. But there's one giant exception. And that exception, it's the United States. America seems to completely break the model, and that creates a pretty fascinating puzzle for us to solve. So here's the paradox. On one hand, the US is an absolute innovation juggernaut. We're talking ranked number 3 in the world. But on the other hand, its PISA math scores are, well, they're just kind of average, way down at 34th place. That's not a small gap. That's a huge one. So you have to ask, how is this even possible? If strong math skills are so important for innovation, how can the US be at the top of its game while its students are falling behind? Does this one outlier mean our whole theory is just wrong? Not quite. The answer is all about who is actually doing the innovating in America. Research from the National Bureau of Economic Research reveals America's secret weapon: high-skilled immigrants. Now get this, they only make up about 16% of inventors, but their contribution is just massive. It's completely outsized. So America doesn't really rely on its own school system for top-tier STEM talent. It effectively imports it, and that solves the puzzle. Let's just look at the raw numbers of their impact. First, just in terms of sheer volume, immigrant inventors produce 23%, nearly a quarter of all patents in the US. That is a hugely disproportionate share. But it's not just about the number of patents. It's about their quality and value. And when you look at the economic value of these inventions, their contribution is even bigger. They account for a full 25% of the total market value created. And here's the most powerful number of all. When researchers model the total impact, which includes how these innovators actually make their American-born colleagues more productive, they found that immigrants are responsible for a staggering 32% of all U.S. innovation. They really are a rising tide that lifts all boats. Okay, so the U.S. anomaly is explained by imported talent. But what about the countries that fit our original theory perfectly? They give us an even clearer lesson about the link between fundamentals and creativity. Just look at Singapore and South Korea. Singapore ranks number 1 in the entire world for PISA math, and they're number 5 for innovation. South Korea is 6th in math and 4th in innovation. These countries are the poster children for the rule: elite foundational skills lead directly to elite innovation. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Both Singapore and South Korea are known for their incredibly high-pressure education systems. You know, cram schools, intense tutoring, and what many people would just call rote learning. There's this popular idea that this kind of approach must crush creativity, but the data says the exact opposite. These countries are innovation powerhouses because of their strong math and science foundations, not in spite of them. So, after looking at all the data, the big exception, and these powerful examples, what should we really take away from all this? What's the real bedrock of national creativity? Let's just recap what we've learned. First, the data shows a clear, powerful link between a nation's math skills and its ability to innovate. It's just there in the numbers. Second, the United States is a very special case because it relies on immigrant talent to power its innovation engine. And third, and this is maybe the most important takeaway, a strong foundation in subjects like math isn't something that holds creativity back. It's the very platform that enables it. And all of this leaves us with a final, pretty provocative question. If we really want to build a more innovative future, should we maybe focus less on trying to teach creativity as a concept and more on building the rigorous, fundamental skills that truly power it? It's definitely something to think about.